My dear colleagues in legal profession, distinguished intellectuals, my fellow citizens, brothers and sisters, and my dear young friends and students, Happy Independence Day to all of you. On the eve of Independence Day, I would like to begin with a question. What exactly are we celebrating on August 15th? Are we celebrating the hoisting of national flag? Yes. Are we celebrating our freedom from British colonial rule? Certainly. Are we remembering the sacrifices of our freedom fighters? Absolutely. But I believe that the Independence Day demands a deeper question. What does freedom mean in the everyday life of an ordinary Indian citizen? And there is another question which is even more important. How much our constitution have we actually internalized and put into practice? My friends, India's constitution was not simply written to create a government. It was written to create a constitutional society. It emerged from India's freedom struggle, social reform movements, political struggles, and intense debates in the Constituent Assembly. And under the intellectual leadership of the international intellectual Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, it gave institutional expression to a transformative vision of India, a vision based on justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. These are not the decorative words, my friends. They are the moral foundation of our republic. The Constitution guarantees fundamental rights. It limits the powers of the government. It establishes institutions. And above all, it recognizes the dignity of the individual citizen. So the question before us today is not, do we have a great constitution? We certainly do. The question is, have we made the constitution part of our everyday lives? My friends, I want to share my personal experience. When I was a student in my village, there was a practice in my native village. Whenever a person belonging to an upper caste entered into scheduled caste locality to call people for agricultural labor, the members of the locality were expected to stand and bow before him and listen to him. Nobody was supposed to sit on a cot or on a raised platform, that is the payal, until he left. For generations, this was a practice and a custom. People did not necessarily stop to ask. But when we began learning about the Constitution and Baba Sahib Ambedkar, we, the students, young fellows, we started asking questions. Why should one human being stand before another because of caste? Why should birth determine social status? Why should one person be expected to display obedience to another? The Constitution gave us the answer: equality, dignity, liberty, and fraternity. But changing the practice was not easy. Even my own family initially resisted the idea. Especially my mother and grandmother and others in our colony had lived with this practice for many years. There was fear of social ostracization, fear of conflict, fear of breaking with tradition, and attacks from the upper caste. And that taught me another lesson. You cannot always change the society by simply shouting at the society. You must listen. You must understand people's fears. You must engage in dialogue. You must persuade. So I listened to my family. I listened to my locality people. We discussed the constitution and I informed them about the life of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. We discussed equality. We discussed dignity. We discussed whether an old order, a custom, could justify humiliating another human being. After many months of discussion, my family began to abandon the practice, and gradually the other households of our locality also followed. What happened in that small locality was, in my view, a small example of constitutional democracy. No court order was required. No government notification was required. No police action was required. People changed their behavior because they began to understand their constitutional rights and dignity. That is the real power of the constitutional education. My friends, we often say we must protect the Constitution, but who will protect the Constitution? Not only judges, not only lawyers, not only parliament, not only political parties. My first message is the people must protect the Constitution, and people can protect only what they understand. Therefore, constitutional literacy must reach every village, every school, every college, every youth organization, every women organization, and every workers organization, every civil society organization. The constitution must move from the law book into people's lives. My friends, my second message is, do not confuse tradition with constitutional morality. India is a land of extraordinary traditions and cultures. We should respect them, but we must also recognize one important principle. An old practice is not necessarily a just practice. If a tradition promotes compassion, dignity, equality, and social harmony, preserve it, protect it, and practice it. But if a tradition humiliates another human being because of caste, gender, religion, or social status, we must have the courage to question it. That is where the constitutional morality becomes important. Constitutional morality tells us when tradition and dignity conflict, dignity must prevail. When custom and equality conflict, equality must prevail. When social hierarchy conflicts with human liberty, liberty must prevail. But how do we achieve this transformation, my friends? My own experience taught me through dialogue, not humiliation. We must listen to the people. We must understand their fears, and then we must show them that the constitutional equality does not destroy their dignity or culture. Rather, it protects the dignity of every human being. Then my third message, my friends, constitutional morality must become everyday habit. We often hear the phrase constitutional morality, but what does it mean? When a teacher treats every child equally, that is the constitutional morality. When a village rejects caste discrimination, that is constitutional morality. When a woman is given equal respect and participation, that is constitutional morality. When a minority can practice their own religion without fear, that is the constitutional morality. When a citizen can criticize the government without being treated as an enemy, that is the constitutional morality. When the government exercises power within the limits of the law, that is the constitutional morality. So the constitutional morality is not merely a phrase for lawyers and judges. It must become a habit of the society, my friends. Then rights and duties. We need both. There is another important issue. We must certainly teach citizens their fundamental duties and also rights along with fundamental rights. We must respect the constitution. We must promote harmony. We must protect public property. We must develop scientific temper. We must uphold the dignity of others. But let us never forget, duties cannot replace fundamental rights. A citizen does not first have to prove patriotism before acquiring dignity and right. A poor citizen does not first have to prove loyalty before acquiring equality. A religious minority does not first have to prove its loyalty to the majoritarian tendencies before enjoying freedom of conscience. Fundamental rights exist because the individual must be protected from arbitrary power. Duties remind us that democracy also requires responsibility. Therefore, rights and duties are two sides of the constitutional citizenship. We must not pit one against the other, my friends. Then, my dear friends, I have great respect for our national flag. I have great respect for our national anthem. I have great respect for patriotic traditions. But I want to make one distinction. Patriotism cannot be reduced to symbolism. We may carry the Tiranga in our hands, but do we protect the dignity of the person standing beside us? We may recite the preamble, but do we practice equality? We may say that we love India, but do we respect the Indian who disagrees with us? We may sing patriotic songs, but do we defend rights of weakest citizen, the marginalized sections of the society? That is the real test of our respect for national flag. The strongest patriotism is constitutional patriotism, my friends. It means loyalty to the democratic principles that bind all Indians equally. Young India must know the constitution, and my young friends, especially the youth, you are often told that you are the future of India. I say you are not merely the future, you are the citizens of India today. You must therefore know your constitution, not merely for an examination purpose, not merely because you want to become a lawyer, not merely because you want to enter into politics. You must know it because you are a citizen of India. You must know what is the equality, what is liberty, what is the freedom of conscience, what is freedom of expression, what is secularism, what is fraternity, what are the fundamental rights, what are the duties. what is the constitutional morality and what is the rule of law, what is judicial review and what is the basic structure of the constitution. These are not merely legal questions, my young friends. They are the questions about our own lives. Take the constitution to social media and the streets as well. Constitutional education must also change with the times, my friends. Why should constitutional literacy remain inside classrooms? Let us use YouTube. Let us use Instagram. Let us use short videos. Let us use street theater. Let us use folk songs. Let us conduct village meetings. Let us establish constitution clubs in schools and colleges. Let young people conduct discussions on the preamble of the constitution, but let us not stop with the recitation. Ask them, where is the equality missing in our village? Where is dignity being denied? Where is discrimination taking place? What can we do about it constitutionally? That is how the constitutional literacy becomes a people's movement. My friends, India today is passing through an important constitutional movement. There are serious debates concerning citizenship, anti-conversion laws, civil society organizations, fundamental liberties and freedom of expression, institutional independence, the functioning of investigating agencies, communalization, education policy, freedom of expression and dissent. I am not suggesting that every disagreement is a constitutional crisis, but every such issue should be tested against constitutional principles. We must ask, does this strengthen equality or weaken it? Does it protect liberty or restrict it? Does it uphold the dignity or undermine it? Does it promote fraternity or deepen social division? Does it strengthen the constitutional institutions or concentrate unchecked power? And this test must be applied to every government and every political party. The constitution is not the property of the opposition or the government, and patriotism is not the monopoly of the ruling party or a particular class of people or religion. The constitution belongs to all of us. What should Indian Independence Day mean to us, my friends? So what should we do on August 15th? Let us certainly hoist Tiranga. Let us sing national anthem. Let us remember our freedom fighters. Let us celebrate India's independence, but let us do something more. Let every school read the preamble. Let every college conduct a constitutional discussion by reading the preamble. Let every village identify one discriminatory practice and discuss how it can be eliminated. Let lawyers explain constitutional rights to the ordinary citizens. Let youth organizations become centers of constitutional dialogue. Let social organizations, civil society use technology to spread constitutional literacy. And let every citizen make small constitutional pledge. Let us say, my friends, I will not discriminate against another human being. I will not humiliate another human being. I will respect the dignity of our woman. I will respect the faith and conscience of others. I will defend the rights of minorities and vulnerable communities. I will respect peaceful dissent. I will question arbitrary power through constitutional means. I will teach the younger generation to understand the Constitution. And above all, I will remember that the Constitution began with the words, we, the people of India. And that is the real celebration of my friends. My friends, August 15th comes once in a year. And so also January 26th, the Republic Day. But constitutional values must live 365 days a year. The Tiranga may fly from our buildings for one day, but equality must fly in our hearts every day. The national anthem may be sung for a few minutes, but fraternity must guide our conduct every day. The preamble may be read for 5 minutes, but justice, liberty, equality, and dignity must guide our lives every day. And that is how we build the constitutional values at the grassroots level. That is how we, the people, becomes a living reality. And that, I believe, is the most meaningful tribute that we can pay to Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and to all those who fought for India's freedom and constitutional democracy. So, my friends, on this Independence Day, let us make a distinction between celebrating the Constitution and living the Constitution. Let us not merely carry the flag. Let us carry its values. Let us not merely recite preamble. Let us practice its promises. And let us not merely say that we love India. Let us make India a country in which every citizen can live with dignity, equality, liberty, and fraternity. That will be the true meaning of the celebration of independence. That will be the true meaning of the Republic. And that will be the true tribute to the Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and other freedom fighters. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat, Jai Constitution.